Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we've got a 4-metre crocodile in there. And I tell you what, he's 4 metres long, but he's skinny. The problem with skinny crocodiles, I'll tell you, is they're bloody hungry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Nick DeMeadows, State Member for Hinchinbrook, but also the Deputy Leader of the Kansas Australian Party. And this week I'll be hitting the KAP, RE-KAP with every one of you so we can keep up to date on exactly what Kansas Australian Party MPs, federal and state, are doing not only in their electorate but also with their parliamentary work. This week, Bob's been particularly busy, and one of the things that's been grinding Bob's gears is the state government's involvement with the hike on land tax in Queensland to interstate investors. What this actually means, though, for a lot of those people that are in the rental market right now, those tax increases will be passed on to the everyday Queenslander. At a time where we're dealing with a housing crisis in Queensland, this state government should be doing everything they can to address the problem around affordable housing. And this latest tax hike will do nothing but except drive the price up on those people out there that are doing it tough right now. Shame on the state government. Also this week, Bob has been calling for more to be done around the eradication of foot and mouth disease and lumpy skin disease over there in Indonesia within their cattle industry. The reason this is on Bob's list is because any outbreaks in Indonesia right now threatens Australia's beef industry, in particular the Northern Territory, Western Australia and Queensland's beef industry. Bob's called for more money to be allocated to the Indonesian government to make sure they have the tools that are necessary to keep not only their outbreaks under control, but work towards eradication. This will help protect Australia's and Queensland's beef industry. Robbie Katter this week has been very busy in the Traeger electorate, and he's actually giving Bob Katter a hand this morning up in Mareeba with a public meeting that he's holding with the community up there to understand better the needs of the residents in Mareeba, but also talk about what policies that the KAP must be pushing in the northern part of Queensland to help secure extra seats after the next state election. Robbie's had to jump on a commercial flight this week though. His little Mooney plane's been grounded as it's due for its service, so hopefully that'll be up in the air again next week and Rob will be scooting around as usual. Robbie Katter has also been flying around with the committee on the blue card legislation that he has before the House. The public hearings that he attended were not supported by the state Labor government MPs of the North. His legislation actually tries to amend some of the restrictions within the blue card system, which is holding back remote Indigenous communities and those residents that live there from excelling and actually finding gainful employment. Over 90% of most employment in remote Indigenous communities is with the state government or local government, and you need a blue card to take on some of those roles. What Robbie's calling for is specific blue card legislation that helps people in remote Indigenous communities gain employment. It's unfortunate to see that the state Labor government isn't supporting this so far, but we'll continue to be pushing this. One of the examples Robbie Katter has used is the example from Mayor of Palm Island, Muslim Sam, who estimates 50 to 100 people on Palm Island right now that would be very good candidates to get into employment with either council or state government cannot access that employment because of the blue card system. Amendments need to be made to make sure that people are able to reach gainful employment. Also this week, Robbie Katter and I have teamed up to put out media with Shane Knuth. So we're calling right now for more investment in the regions in our health system. Our ailing health system across Queensland is only being exacerbated by not having the right tools within the regions to service our local communities. We've been calling for a CT scanner in Charters Towers and Ingham for some time now. For nearly 5 years in Charters Towers, Robbie's been working on this, and I've been calling for this for nearly 4 years. The reality is, every one of these scans that happens after hours needs to go all the way to Townsville. The reason the CT scanner is such an important tool within our regional hospitals is anyone that's had a stroke, for example, or a head injury needs to be assessed quickly to make sure that they've been given the right either anticoagulant drugs or the right treatment so that their ailment or their injury can be addressed as soon as possible. This reduces rehabilitation times, but also increases the better outcomes for our patients in these areas. The reason Ingham, Charters Towers and Ayr need a CT scanner so desperately is to have the right tools right there for our public providers in the hospitals where they're needed. Right now, ambulance staff and Queensland hospital staff and Queensland health staff, I should say, are being tied up unnecessarily during a time when we have a nurse, medical practitioner and doctor shortage here in Queensland. More needs to be done to ensure we've got the right tools for the job. RE-KAP has also this week called for a 25% reduction in stamp duty. Now, stamp duty is one of the major costs that the state government puts on when you buy or sell a house here in Queensland. The thing is, we're looking to attract people to the regions right now where we have a trade shortage, a professional shortage and a skilled labour shortage. Drawing people to the regions would help build our stocks in the regions, but also increase the livability and make sure that we've got the people there to do the jobs that are necessary.
What we're putting forward today is that there's a stamp duty reduction for owner-occupiers that choose to live in regional areas, and there needs to be incentive for people to move outside the cities, and the government's got to put their money where their mouth is. It's not going to happen with goodwill. For
anyone wondering where Shane Knuth is this week, he's having his yearly annual break and he's up there in the Gulf of Carpentaria right now, hopefully hooking a barramundi or two and probably staying away from their crocodiles. Hopefully he shot a couple of pigs, and we wish Shane Knuth all the very best over the next couple of days while he's up there, and hope he's enjoying his well-deserved break. It's been an interesting week for myself in the Hinchinbrook electorate and around the Townsville region. This week I had an opportunity to stop in and meet Jason, one of the managers from the Seaview Hotel, to congratulate himself and the owners of the Seaview Hotel on their completion. A couple of years ago at one of the charity auctions, I picked up a lovely watercolour painting of the original Seaview, and I thought it would be lovely to drop that off today to put up on the wall there, send it back to its rightful home. Like I said, to thank them for what they've done with the redevelopment down there, but also to congratulate them on such a good job. Well done. Also this week, I joined Councillor Margie Ryder for our monthly catch-up with Division 1 heads of the community associations and organisations in the area. Everyone from Tumalla Beach to Tullakia. We even had people there from Bluewater and Jensen there representing their communities. We had a sit down there at the Dirrigan coffee shop there at the Woodland Centre. Beautiful coffee and some lovely cakes, while we discussed our number one topic is who owns a lot of our community association buildings and also who maintains them into the future. It was a very robust discussion, and I hope to be working with Margie Ryder, Councillor Margie Ryder for Division 1 Townsville on this topic into the future. This week I also called on the state government, and in particular the Minister for Environment and Science, to establish an active removal zone for crocodiles in the Tydo wetlands in Ingham. Now this is an area that has been a man-made, built water body which has been set up for bird watching and for children and families to come down and enjoy and play. We've seen over the last couple of years a number of smaller crocodiles move into this area, and people might think, oh well, that's all right, a couple of small crocodiles. What does that mean? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we've got a 4-metre crocodile in there, and I tell you what, he's 4 metres long, but he's skinny. The problem with skinny crocodiles, I'll tell you, is they're bloody hungry. So we want this crocodile removed immediately. And we want future crocodiles of that size not having to go through the usual process of, applying for the removal, all this sort of stuff. If there's a crocodile over 2.4 metres, that crocodile needs to be moved on, captured or sent to a crocodile farm. It doesn't belong there. This week also we were able to release some pretty damning figures. A question I noticed that I put into the Youth Justice Minister a couple of weeks ago was answered, where I asked how many children at Cleveland Bay Youth Detention Centre are re-offending. 95% of all children that have been incarcerated at Cleveland Bay Detention Centre are re-offending within a 12-month period. QPS now will be running off their feet, being drawn away from everything from DV to real adult crimes out there to deal with the youth crime. Every time we try and talk about relocation sentencing or boot camps, the state Labor government wheels out figures like a reoffending rate of 40% from the Lincoln Springs boot camps, saying that they just don't work. Well, I can tell you right now, what's happening at Cleveland Bay Detention Centre definitely isn't working, and we can see it every night on our streets. Every time this small 30 to 40 cohort of recidivist youth offenders are released, they're back on our streets, break into our homes, stealing our cars and attacking and destroying some of our small businesses. The state government needs to address this immediately. We've hit crisis point. Everything should be on the table and we're up for discussion. Kaz Australian Party's relocation sentencing policy must deserve a trial, and Queenslanders deserve that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that part of the show, but before we wrap up, doesn't matter where you're watching this right now, Facebook, YouTube, whatever streaming service, if you're seeing this video right now and you want to keep up to date with Kaz Australian Party MPs, please hit the subscribe button below. It's the only way to keep up with us, to make sure that you're not missing a second of the news. Enjoy your lovely long weekend if you're getting to have one, if you had the chance to take Friday off, and we'll see you all again next week. Cheers.